Hello. Um, this is the last video about how to win bold action and the last of my 13 item list of factors that decide bold action. As always, I think it is a combination of factors that decide whether you win or lose. If you have three or more against you, I think you're going to lose. If you have three or more for you, I think you're going to win. That simple. Let's reduce bold action to a list. Um, the final ones I want to talk about here are maybe more like psychology things. This list came about at Michael's house when we were sitting and gluing together miniatures, and maybe we were a bit high on the glue fumes and had a few drinks of rum or something. But we were talking about how psychology influences the game. Also because Michael is a very emotional player. When he wins big. When he loses, he feels like bold action is crap and he never wants to play it again. So there is an element of psychology, and all of the four things I want to talk about today have to do with psychology. One of them is knowing your opponent. If you know who your opponent is, if you know what he likes to do, if you know how he likes to play, you can counter him. And you can even, and I would not recommend doing this because you're not being a nice person, you can even push his buttons to make sure that he is emotionally destabilized. That is a dick move. Don't do it. But that happens on accident sometimes, where you can sort of make sure that your opponent is not making optimal decisions. So knowing your opponent becomes very important. For instance, Michael and I, we play each other at least once a week, not necessarily at bold action, but in many different games, and he knows me very, very well. He knows that if we're going to play sectors, he knows exactly what my plan is. He knows exactly what I'm going to do, so he can counter it. Sometimes. So playing against a lot of different opponents is good. Playing against a new opponent that you don't know is bad, because you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what decisions they're going to make, which can be problematic. So that's the first thing that I think it could be an item that could decide a bold action game, whether you know your opponent or not. And then, and I can't believe that it's like item number 10 or 11 on my list here. 11. You make a mistake. You make a tactical error. You do something that's wrong. Most people feel like that their games were decided either by dice, by their opponent's list being OP, or by someone making a tactical error. They did something that was wrong in the situation. And that does happen, especially with mid-tier and low-tier players, rookies. They sometimes make tactical mistakes where maybe they don't understand the full consequences of what they're doing. Maybe they are like in a bloodlust frenzy. They want to kill something and they throw something up and they lose 2 dice because of it. Those mistakes, they can be trained away. You can train to avoid them. Most top players that I've seen do not make mistakes. It just doesn't happen. Sometimes they take calculated risks that go wrong. All right, Topher. But they don't make mistakes. Maybe. And if they do, they should lose. So train, play a lot of bold action, make your mistakes on the training table, and you will stop making them in the tournament setting at some point, because it's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that that was a mistake, I'll never do that again, and then next tournament you're doing exactly the same thing. So you have to train a lot before that stops, but you can train it away. You can train mistakes away, tactical errors, you can avoid them. But it does require a lot of training. There was this Swedish scientist who examined the top violin players in the world. And what he found was that talent was not the deciding factor. What was the deciding factor about who became the best violinists in the world was how much they were training. 10,000 hours or more. My aim in life is to play 10,000 hours of games so that I become so good that I will be the world champion. That is my goal with Bold Action. But until I'm at 10,000, there's a long way to go, I can tell you. I'm going to make mistakes sometimes. Not a lot. And I can train more, and I make fewer mistakes the more I train, but they will crop up. The final two are also psychology, I think. Prep. When you get to a table and you face an opponent, then sometimes some players, you can, as if you're slightly known in the community, if people know who you are and maybe they are a bit intimidated by that, you can sort of force their hand. It's a terrible thing to say, but being a famous gunslinger makes all the rookie gunslingers fear you when they face you. And that fear is useful, because they will revise their plans when they're standing at the table. Maybe they have made a plan. This point is about making plans, right? And sticking to it. Make your plan, stick to your plan, and play your own game. Don't let the opponent dictate what it is that you're playing. And some opponents, like myself, if you're facing me, stick to your own plan, because I'm going to try my damnedest to make sure that you focus on what I am doing, and forget what you were supposed to be doing. I want you to react to me instead of acting, because reactionary players are easier to beat. You can force them to react in the way that you want them to. You can force them away from the objectives. You can force them to shoot at your Death Star unit, moving through like one unit at a time of the opponent's army. And they will pour resources into that one unit while you win the game. So play your own game. Don't let the opponent's actions dictate, because that will lose you the initiative of the game. And when you lose the initiative, you lose. And this is all down to the final factor: fear and dominance. When you face an opponent, it is really important that you're not too fearful of their list, of the scenario, of the opponent himself, or herself for that matter, because if you are, you're going to stop playing your own game, as I just talked about. And I've seen this happen a few times over the year, and especially maybe in this fall, where some players, when they know who they're facing, when they see your list, they become, shit, I don't know what to do. I've already lost this game. And yes, if you feel like that, then you have lost the game. It's very important that you don't feel like that. This is just a game. Your opponent is just a man. He is not superhuman. There is no players in Bold Action that are unbeatable. There's no players in Bold Action that cannot lose to a rookie on the right day if enough of these factors are in play. I'll give a little story here, and it's not my own, and I hope I'm allowed to say this. It's from Manuel. Manuel is a really good player. He is the German team captain. He is still the ruling world champion after the last WTC. He was placed as the best single player at the WTC. So he's a really good player. Last time he was at a big tournament, at the national tournament in Spain, which is one of the top European tournaments. A lot of the best players are attending that tournament. He was matched up against a total newbie, a rookie, someone who didn't know who he was. That rookie had no idea. He just came to the table. Okay, we're playing a game. Cool. Have a good game. And he played, and he beat Manuel. That rookie beat Manuel, and he had no idea what he had just done. That is because he did not fear. He didn't know who Manuel was. He didn't fear anything about him. It was just another opponent. Everything was maybe scary for someone new at the table, right? A similar story. Again, I'm not sure if I can share this, but I'm going to do it anyway, was from Russell, who attended the Spanish Nationals this year. Russell is the Welsh team captain. Isn't that right? You live in Essex, Russell. I'm not sure why you're the Welsh team captain. Shouldn't you be? Are the English team captain? I'm confused. Sorry. Anyways, Russell attended the Spanish Nationals, and there were some warm-up games, and he played against Manuel and beat him, and he played against Achilles and beat him. And Achilles has a reputation in Spain for being unbeatable. So when that happened, the Spanish players were all like, "Oh my God, this English dude just came and he beat two of the top players in the world. We are going to get trashed." So that was the sense going around the room for Russell. That is a brilliant place to be, because everyone fears encountering you on the table. Everyone fears you're dominating the table before you've even gotten your opponent. I felt the same at a couple of my tournaments when people learned that they were playing against me. They were like, "Ooh, this is bad." It shouldn't be. Of course, I agree that we are good players, but we're not unbeatable. And that fear doesn't help. It makes you make mistakes, and it loses you the initiative in the game. It makes you reactive instead of acting. It forces the plan of the rookie player to change on the spot, which is always a bad idea. Yeah, so that was my list of what I've seen and what I think can decide a game of Bold Action. 3 or more of these factors, that is it, and that is the main thing I'll leave you with. Cheers.